Hello everybody, my name is Rohit. I take physical education on behalf of Prep School. In today's session, we will be looking into marks distribution for your entire academic year. Now when you look at your syllabus is divided into two different sections. You have theory part of it and then you have practical part of it. Your theory part carries 70 marks, your practical part carries 30 marks. Let's have a further look at how your theory part and practical part is further divided. Now if you look at the theory, the very short answer type questions will be 20 in number, each carrying 1 mark, so it makes it 20 marks. Then you will have short answer type questions which will again be 3 marks each and will be total 10 in number. Then you will have long answer type questions which will be 5 marks question and will be total 4 in number. So altogether it aggregates for 70 marks. Now let's move on to your practical section and see what all things will be there in that. In your practical section, you will have total 5 subdivisions of 30 marks. Now the starting one, the first one is your physical fitness test. Now what sort of physical fitness test are we talking about here? It's nothing different, it's the same that you did last year, that is called as AFO fitness test, American Alliance for Physical Education, Health and Education and Recreation, the same one which you did last year. So that test will be conducted for 6 marks. After that you will have proficiency in games and sports. The proficiency in games and sports section, your proficiency will be checked on based on which sports you have selected among the list that was given to you. So whichever sports you chose, that particular sports proficiency will be checked for you. After that, you will have yogic practices. In yogic practices, all the different asanas that you learned in 11th standard and in 12th standard will be collectively tested, and based on that you will be given marks out of 7. And then you will have record and investigatory report. In record and investigatory report, again it carries 5 marks. Here what all contents has to be there in record and what all content has to be there in investigatory report, that we will discuss in an elaborated video or elaborated session where I will be exclusively talking about how to write the record and investigatory report. After that we will have Viva and Voice section which will be again of 5 marks, and in that all the things that we enlisted before and things related to that and theory related to that will be asked in your Viva section. Moving on to now this theory part, what all chapters are there, what all things has to be studied. I have basically divided the whole chapter into 2 different sections on the basis of its priority. First, most important chapters, then we'll have moderately important chapters. Now most important chapters basically will have 5 marks question and 3 marks question. Moderately important chapters will basically have 3 marks question and 1 mark question. So let's see which chapter falls into which category. Now when you look at most important chapters, the first one that you have is yoga and lifestyle. This generally carries 5 marks questions, and then you have test and measurements in sports. 5 marks valued questions are also there in this chapter. After that we have physiology and injuries in sports. When you talk about physiology and injuries in sport, it again carries 3 and 5 marks. So you can get 3 marks question also, you can get 5 marks question also. But here in yoga and lifestyle and test and measurements, if you see, 5 mark questions are majorly seen exclusively for them. Now after that, if you see psychology in sports, in psychology again we have 3 and 5 marks question possibilities. At the end we have training in sports which generally carries 3 marks according to previous question papers. Now moving on to next category, we have moderately important chapters. Now when you talk about moderately important chapters, first we have planning in sports which generally tends to have 3 marks question. Then we'll have sports and nutrition, that again has 1 marks and 3 marks question. Then we have PE and sports for CWSN, that again has 3 marks question. Then we will have children and women in sport, 1 chapter, that will have 3 marks question. And then we'll have biomechanics and sport, that also carries 1 marks question. So all of these assumptions and all of this analysis are made based on the previous year's question paper. It may vary here and there 10 to 20%, but it will give you a starting point to start preparing for your exams and covering your syllabus. Provided all these chapters, given all these chapters names and contents, let's see which particular book is recommended for you to study all these chapters. The recommended book for you is Health and Physical Education by Dr. V.K. Sharma by Saraswati Publications. You can get this textbook particularly from online, and you can also get this textbook on retail shops. Now given that, let's look into some of the tips that you can use to study and cover your syllabus properly. First thing, categorize portion based on weightage. So I have given you the weightage based on previous year's question papers. Now you have an idea which chapters are important and which chapters are moderately important or most important. Based on that you can prepare your timetable to study. According to that, according to the portion based on your weightage of your chapter. After that, cover most of the important chapters first. It's important to cover the most important chapter first, then you can move on to moderately important chapters according to, like I said, according to its priority. After that, you have to read each chapter in detail. Many people don't do that. It's important to go into details of the chapter, because if you don't read the chapter, if you just solve the exercises, you may miss small little details and small little things that might be hidden in the chapter. So it's important to read whole chapter in deep. After that, research online for extra points related to that particular topic. It's important because many times when you read textbook, you may not find enough points related to that particular topic. You may fall short on points when you write the exam, if it's a 5 marks question or if it's a bigger marks question. If the content is very less in the textbook, you may struggle there. So it's important to research online also to get extra point so that you can elaborate and perform better in the exam. Given that, let's look at small tip that I want to give over here. This is 4R formula which you can use to study. First element of that is called read, second is record, third is revise, and fourth is reflect. Basically, what you can do over here is you have to first read the concept very well, very properly. You have to read this, not just overlooking it. Properly, with concentration, you have to read on concept or a topic very well. After that, you have to record that. Record here doesn't mean you have to digitally record it. You have to basically write it on your notebook or on your notepad, because when you write something, it stays in your mind longer. After that, you have to revise that, because it happens many times that if you are preparing for a longer session for 5 or 6 chapters, you tend to forget the first few chapters when you reach the last few chapters. It happens because you haven't revised it. So it's important for you to often go back to the previous chapter and revise it. So that's the third stage of that. And the fourth stage is reflect. Always try to write and see what all you remember from what all you studied. If in the reflect stage, what all you have studied at the read stage is equal, if the data that you studied during the read stage is 100 and the data you reflected is also 100, then your cycle is successful. If it is not successful, you need to again go back to the first stage of the cycle, and then you have to again carry forward the procedure. Once again explaining, read every topic. After that, record it. Record means try to write it so that it stays longer in the mind. And then often revise. So whenever you learn a new chapter, you go to second or third chapter, try to come back to the first chapter and give it a quick read or quick revision so that it stays longer. After you revise, then reflect it on your notebook or notepad to check whether if you remember still all the concepts or not. So this is called as 4R formula. You can always refer this and you can use this as a tip to study better. So I hope you understood all the topics that we covered today. You understood all the marks distribution that you have. Given that, this is me, Rohit, once again signing out. Thank you. Bye bye until next time.